There's something about this time of year where many of us start feeling the urge to clear things out a little. Maybe it's your space, opening the windows, moving things around, letting fresh air in, or maybe it's something less obvious. Just this quiet feeling that you don't want to carry things the same way anymore. And it's not like anything has fallen apart. Everything can look exactly the same on the outside. But something inside of you has shifted. And it's not something that we notice right away. It shows up in small ways, in the way certain things don't sit the same anymore, or how something that used to feel easy feels a little heavier. And you can't quite explain why. You just feel it. And then slowly, without realizing it, you start looking at your life a little differently. In those quiet moments where you catch yourself thinking, why am I still holding on to this? Or even, why am I still here? And those questions don't always come with answers right away. They just stay with you. Like something in you is starting to clear space before you even know what you're making space for. And that can feel a little uncomfortable because you don't have a plan yet and you have no idea what's coming next. But there's simply this quiet knowing underneath it all. Before we move any further, let's take a moment to slow down together. So wherever you are, get comfortable, soften your shoulders, and take a breath with me. Take a slow breath in. And gently let it out. Wherever you are, allow yourself to arrive and walk gently into this space with me. Welcome to Find Your Way to Vibe. Hi, beautiful souls. I'm Amber, and I'm really grateful you're here with me today. Lately, I've been sitting with a lot of thoughts, just kind of letting things settle and trying to make sense of where I'm at. And because of that, I almost didn't sit down to record this one yet because I didn't feel like I had it all figured out. But after some recent conversations and really think about how I want to move forward in my life, it felt like the right time to talk about it while I'm still in it. So this is what this conversation is about. That space where things are shifting, but you don't fully have the words for it yet. You can feel something changing, but you don't quite know what's next on the horizon. That's exactly where I've been lately, in the somewhere in between. And if you've been there too, then you already know it's not always the easiest place to sit. And I think a big part of why this has been on my mind lately is because I've been sitting in this in-between space for a while now. Ever since my kids graduated and moved into their own lives, there's been a more defined shift. Not in the way that feels sad, it just is different. It's like I stepped out of one season of my life and haven't fully stepped into the next one yet. And the best way I can describe it is that it feels like I'm on one of those gravity rides. You know, the ones where you're moving, spinning in a circle, but you're stuck to the wall. And you're just stuck there waiting for it to come to a stop so you can get off and scurry along onto the next ride or the next adventure. That's what it feels like. That's what this space feels like for me. Like I'm in motion, but also waiting. And the interesting part is I have so many things in front of me that I'm really excited about. There's no lack of direction and no lack of possibility, but there are moments where I still feel stuck because I'm just sitting here waiting for it to all begin. And that's when it really hit me that I'm already in it. This part, this in between that I'm in, this is part of the path too. I'm still moving forward, even if it doesn't feel like it in the way that I expected. I still am moving forward. I'm still learning. I'm still gaining knowledge and wisdom to carry with me through life. So when I think about that realization, it is a part of what started to shift everything for me because it made me look at where I am a little differently. And being in that in between space for a while now, I started to notice that the moments where I feel the most stuck aren't really about not knowing what to do. It feels more like something is being held onto. Something hasn't been released yet. And that has a weight to it. You can actually feel it. And one of the things I keep going back to when I think about this weight that is still there is when I was moving. I was standing there with everything around me, my space, my things, all the pieces of my life and my kids' life. And I just remember standing there, taking it all in and feeling very overwhelmed. And I had to pause. I had to take a break and step away from it all for a little bit because of how overwhelming it felt. And so I took a day. I think we had a week left. And I decided to just take a day and rest and sleep and meditate. And when I meditated, I was in this stillness, and what came to me clearly was that I could let most of this stuff go. And it didn't feel like one of those forced thoughts. It was just a really calm and clear thought, like something in me had already decided. And I was just simply becoming aware of it. And from there, everything started to look a little different. And a question that kept coming up to me during that time was, why was I still holding on to this? And I remember thinking, I just wanted to get rid of it all, just to make it that much easier. Order a dumpster, throw it all away, or put it all on the curb and let everybody take what they wanted. That's what I felt like doing at the end of it, because it was, why am I still holding on to this? But I talked it out with my daughter. I took a step back and I simply just started to become more intentional about the process. And I kind of separated everything from what was non-negotiable, what we could give away, what we could possibly keep, and all the sentimental stuff. So most of the sentimental stuff obviously was non-negotiable in the beginning, but then I started having these little mini conversations with myself when I was going through each thing, and I would ask myself if I really needed whatever it was. Was it important that I carried it forward with me and stored it? Or was I going to have it in the space that I was moving into? So I really became more mindful about what I was asking. And what I was packing and what I was taking with me. When it came to the sentimental things, I reminded myself that while those things, those items were important to me, they weren't the actual memory of the person, of the moment, anything like that. They just simply represented it. So the memory itself stays with me always. It's in my heart. So that was my way of being able to justify whether I kept something or let it go. There are some sentimental things that were absolutely kept for myself, for my children, for my future grandchildren, because those I feel are important to our family history. And then when it came to other household items like furniture, I went through each thing and was like, okay, is this logical to store for a time? Or is it more logical to give it to somebody who could use it right now and then replace those items later? Because in the grand scheme of it, whether I store it or I give it away and then buy it again later, it could be about the same price depending on how long I have to store things. So that's kind of the process I went through with all the furniture and all the household items. My daughter and I decided, like with all the kitchen stuff, there are things that we kept, but we threw much of it away because they were either things that we used consistently almost every single day and that we could probably use a new one later, but we weren't going to use it in the transition space that we were moving into. So we just got rid of a lot of our kitchen stuff and decided that we will end up replacing it. Because one, my daughter's going to have her own place to move into, so she'll have her own set of kitchen stuff. And then wherever I land, I'll just replace my kitchen stuff as well because I don't need a whole lot for my kitchen. So that's kind of the process that we went through when we were moving, and after I had my little epiphany during my meditation of like, okay, I can really let go of more than I was willing to in the beginning. And as I continued that process throughout the moving phase, it made it a lot easier for me to let that go and to really ask, like, is this necessary or not? Can I replace it? I think the only big things that we kept a lot of Halloween things because, yes, we could replace those, but Halloween is our family's favorite holiday. So those things we decided we're going to keep some, get rid of some, and that's what we did. And then the other things were I kept my couch because all four of us were like, the couch stays. We all have this attachment to these comfy couches that we got. And then my piano. So those are the main things that I kept and we store. Luckily, I got to get a small storage unit because we got rid of all the other stuff. We got rid of all our bedroom sets, all the other furniture, except for what we were going to use. And everything else either fits in our transition space or in our little storage space. And that's all we have left. And I'm perfectly fine with that. I was not, by the end of the process of moving, I didn't feel any regret in what we gave away and what we sold and what we decided to keep. So I think it was a win-win situation once I was able to put my mind in that space. One thing that was another helpful instance in this moving process was the moment that I found all my medals from my racing era. I had this bag that I had since the beginning that I had just shoved all my medals in. And it was just sitting in the cupboard in my garage. And when I pulled it out, I was like pulling out and reminiscing of all of those moments. And I felt a lot of pride for those moments because I did a lot of cool things that I never thought I would do. But at the same time, those things were just sitting there in a bag, hidden from the world. And I remember thinking, why am I still holding on to these? What is the purpose? Am I going to hang them up? Am I going to display them? Am I going to show them to people anymore? And the reality and the only response I could come up with is no, I'm not. I'm still going to talk about it and share my experiences when it comes up, but I don't really need the physical items that showed it anymore. So I pulled them all out. I all organized them all nice and pretty. I took a snapshot of them and then I tossed it all out. And I did have an appreciation for the memories, but I let it go because I know that those memories are held in my mind and in my heart. And I have pictures of those memories and at least have one friend still from that era that we get to share some fond memories with. So for me, that's all I need. And it feels lighter. I feel lighter. And it's not because none of it mattered. It's just because I don't need to carry the weight of those things any longer. And that felt nice. To be honest, it felt really nice to move forward with that. And so that also added to my mindset when I was packing up and moving and getting rid of all that stuff. And of course, it didn't stay about physical things. When we're talking about moving forward, it starts to show up in other ways as well. In the way that we move through life and the things that we hold on to because it feels familiar, and even in relationships. For me, it showed up in small ways, in conversations that felt a little different, in the way my energy shifted in spaces that used to feel easy, or how it shifted when I was around people that I no longer felt an ease with. And I started noticing it in the same way I had been noticing everything else. Just this quiet awareness that something had changed. Nothing I needed to act on right away, just something to sit with. And learning how to be in this space without rushing to figure it out. And then it started to connect into everything else. Because it's not just about letting go, it's about everything tied to it. The money, responsibilities, the things that actually keep your life moving. And this ties back to work and other things, especially money and responsibilities. One thing that is really hard for me to move on from is my job. About 3 years ago, I think I mentioned this a few episodes back, is that I resigned from my job actually about 3 years ago. And somehow I'm still there, but because of my resignation, I was able to finally move on from positions that were just eating me alive. I was able to do well at what I did for so long, but it was eating me alive and I just couldn't take it anymore. So while my intention was to resign and to move on to something else, I was able to just shift my path at that same company and move into something different. So I never fully left. I'm still there, but in a different position that I really enjoy because it allows me to still be challenged, still be using my brain in a very effective way and a very efficient way, and still helping the company. But one thing I realized is that while I was going through that transition process and everything, is that the pull to stay where I was, one, comfortable. When we're comfortable, it's hard to make those moves. And two, because of the job security and just knowing I had a place somewhere, because I still have to take care of my life responsibilities, the bills, the tuition, commitment, other commitments, and things like that. So every decision carries a weight. And I think that's where that feeling of being stuck comes in, and holding on to both at once. That part of you that's ready for something different, and then that part of you that needs stability. And that's where I was, is I wanted stability. And sometimes it's good, but sometimes it can feel like you're in this loop of, what am I doing? Because there are options, there are ideas, there are other paths. They're just taking more time than you expected. And in the meantime, you're still here, right? And I remind myself, this is just a phase. Things will shift. But even knowing that, there are still moments where it feels heavy and it feels like, I should move on. And I know there's more, and I'm ready for more. But it's just being in that space of waiting and ensuring that all the responsibilities are met. And it's not, for me, it really isn't fear at this point. It is about stability and just making sure that I handle my responsibilities, because in a couple of years, I'm not going to have as many as I have now, and it will be completely different. I do remember a time where, some time ago, I had this plan that once the kids had graduated from high school, I would move to an island and just work at a bar, work on my podcast, and just simply be in a space where I would be happy to be, and be around people who were happy to be there as well, because most of them would be on vacation. And that's what my plan was, because I didn't really have any other expectation of where life would go after the kids were grown. I just wanted to go off on an adventure and do something for myself. And I've always wanted to live on an island. So that's kind of where I thought I would go. And that idea still shows up in my life a lot, especially, well, more so in the back of my mind. I think about it, but life has shifted. And while I still sit with it and wonder what it represents, the way life has shifted for me is pretty exciting. And I'm excited to have it all unfold when it's time. But it's still being in that in between where I'm like, oh man, what am I doing? Should I find the island I want to go to and go, or do I stay here? Because there's a lot of moving parts to it, obviously. But for now, I'm just sitting in this space and excited for whatever's to come, because I don't know what it all will entail. I have pretty good ideas, but as we all know, whatever we expect something to look like isn't always how it ends up. And what's helped me the most hasn't been forcing any answers. It's been by simply talking it out, not seeking advice or needing someone to tell me what to do, but just to say it out loud. Because when everything stays in your head, I feel it just gets louder and louder. But when you can actually say it out loud and release it, something shifts within us. And sometimes that's all you need, is to hear yourself again. And I've realized a big part of that is having people who are willing to just sit with you in that space. And that's why this week's Brooklyn Lights the Way is for the ones who sit with us in those in-between moments when we're not quite sure where we're going. The ones who listen even when we don't quite know what we're trying to say yet. It's for the people who let us talk things out until something finally settles, until the noise quiets just enough for us to hear ourselves again. It's for the ones who don't rush us or try to fix anything, who simply just sit there with us. And for every person who's been a sounding board or a safe place or a quiet support system in the background of our lives. The ones we can call to just talk it out, to clear the space in our own minds so we can find our way again. And I think having people like that in your life just gives you a little bit more room to be exactly where you are. It's interesting because even just talking through this today, I can feel how much of it I'm still actually in. I'm not quite at the end, and I'm not fully on the other side. I'm just simply somewhere in the middle. And I'm starting to be a little more okay with that. Just sitting with it and noticing what comes up, what feels different, and what feels like it might be time to move on from. And I think that's really what this whole experience has been showing me. That not everything needs to be figured out before moving forward. Sometimes it's just about recognizing what feels heavier than it used to, what you're ready to loosen your grip on, even if you're not fully ready to let go of it yet. Because even that is a step. Even that awareness creates space. And maybe that's where the next step actually begins. Not in having the plan, but in creating the space for it to find you. And maybe that's enough for now. So wherever this finds you, just simply notice what's been coming up for you. What feels a little different, and what feels like it might be shifting, even slightly. You don't have to rush it. Just stay open to it and see where it leads. You never know where that path will take you. As always, thank you for walking this path with me today. If something in this resonated with you, just take that with you. You don't have to do anything with it. Just simply notice it. And if this is a space you find yourself coming back to, please take a moment to follow, share, or leave a little support behind. It is greatly appreciated, and it helps this message reach the people who might resonate with it as well. Until next time, Walk slowly, breathe deeply, and remember, you can always find your way to vibe.